So have
believe in me. Believe in me.
Yeah, I do believe in you. But okay, have you been caught up in the wave of all this Joe Hendry stuff this week?
Hello, everyone. By the way.
Yeah. We go straight into it.
Quickly straight into it. Don't really know what we're watching or listening to.
Yeah, very true. This is the Slam Jam Championship Wrestling Show. I am David. This is Dave. But I'm not going to lie. The whole Joe Hendry thing. I barely know who Joe Hendry is, if I'm completely honest.
I know who he is. Oh, you believe in him.
Yeah, I do believe. I've become a believer, and that's one of the things I was going to say with this is over like the last 24 hours, I've checked the charts to see how he was doing.
I'm checking it now. See how he does.
Well, I can tell you the result is he didn't make it to number one.
It's that along with UK council elections. It's all a bit disappointing for me because I mean one of the few counties that apparently had so little going one way or the other that we just ended up saying, we don't have an overall majority in Albury area. So
wow.
I must have Joe Hendry didn't have an overall majority on iTunes or any of the other places to get there. But it was number one on iTunes.
Yeah.
Pretty much every day at some point this week.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, good for him. Good for him. Like, so he wrestles in Impact. I don't see. Oh, sorry, TNA. I should say now. I've finally got used to saying Impact, and now it's not Impact. But yeah, so he wrestles in TNA. I take he wrestled because he's Scottish, isn't he?
Yeah, he was. He got notoriety in ICW in St. Championship Wrestling back in the 2010s. And the 2010s, he sort of just came out of nowhere because he was a singer in a band, and he just sang his own songs. He was doing his own theme songs and parody videos of other wrestlers on ICW's shows for a long time. So that's what got him noticed a lot around the world. Plus, he's very decent in ring, he's perfectly fine. But it's just the non-stop sort of parodies of other wrestlers. If you ever go on, just find Joe Hendry ICW sort of entrances, you'll see things where there's some really funny stuff that was on there. Well, certainly all the time. Certainly, some of the people who take the piss out of maybe these days aren't looked so favourably upon nowadays, but they're still very funny for the sort of production element of it as well. Sort of obviously DIY sort of stuff, but it was still pretty well done.
Yeah. No, so the weird thing with this song is, okay, you're a bit of a music buff as well. We'll discuss actual wrestling soon. Now, apparently when I looked this video up, it was released a year ago, or it was just a thing on his channel a year ago.
I thought Spotify. It's released in 2019.
So well, okay, so yeah, that's so weird.
This is Ring of Honor music.
I've got no idea. I don't know the story of why this was suddenly a thing that he's trying to get to number one now. Because when I looked at it, I tried to analyze, is this really good? Could it be done better? And obviously, there's some reason why this has become a bet or something has happened. Yeah. I think it starts well, the whole turning around, funny face. That's very memeable. And then I think that, after the intro, I think the whole song falls apart, and then it lasts, I think, legitimately a minute and 12 seconds or something. So to get it, I think it peaked at number 4, or maybe it got to number 6 overall. It made me a believer,
Yeah, it's that thing. I think the only thing I've managed to watch of him in Impact recently was them just doing this thing with Rich Swann and Top Dollar, whatever his name is now.
Oh yeah.
And backstage, and Rich Swann saying, "Well, what's your problem with Joe Hendry?" And going, "No, don't say it." And then suddenly the music hits, and he's there.
Yeah.
Backstage segment.
All right. So I was so excited this morning. I genuinely went on Twitter, Joe Hendry, to see if he'd made it, because I didn't even know when the charts came out. But he did some other song. It was very reminiscent of The Rock sat in the ring with his guitar, just singing songs, and it was good stuff. It was good. So good luck to him. Hopefully this will give him a boost, and either they'll give him a push or a run, or he'll end up somewhere else if that's what he desires as well. But yeah. So anyway, moving on to less important things in the world of wrestling. Backlash is tomorrow.
Sorry, I was going to say he has just put a tweet out like 2 hours ago. He's number 4 in the singles download charts and number 6 in the singles sales charts as official on the
Wow.
official downloads chart. So I'm just going to double check on the actual site to make sure he's not just decided to do a little thing. But yeah, sorry, Backlash is indeed tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. So whilst you're checking that, so obviously SmackDown has literally just finished. This is the closest we've ever got probably to doing a reaction show. And like you didn't see SmackDown, I only saw.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I only saw some of it myself, but it was a reasonable show. So you know, there's not really any major spoilers I can say out of it because everything's just leading to Backlash. So if you know the rundown of the cards for Backlash, we're still going to get Cody versus AJ. We're going to get Priest versus Uso. You know, nothing's changed out of what's happened tonight. The only interesting stuff, I would say, came on the front of Paul Heyman, where Paul Heyman was with Nick Aldis, and Heyman sort of acknowledged that he hasn't spoken to Roman since WrestleMania. So then there was a thing where he was getting into the ring to speak to Orton and Kevin Owens, and before he could quite get into the ring and acknowledge, well, I keep using that term, but like identify who the tribal chief is, Solo and Tama Tonga ran in the ring, and I wonder if they're sort of teasing that Heyman's not going to be with the Bloodline, but he's then just going to turn out he's fully with this new version of the Bloodline, and that they've kicked Roman out, or is The Rock behind it? Is Solo the new leader? Obviously, we might get tomorrow. Jacob Fatu could debut, and I kind of say that just because I think it was at Clash at the Castle that we first saw Solo on the main roster. So who knows? They could do like a surprise run in like that, just to strengthen the Bloodline, legitimize why Orton and Kevin Owens are going to lose, because they kind of need to lose. But at the same time, Orton made his triumphant return at Survivor Series, and I don't know how much he's actually won since. So
yeah, he's over. He doesn't. He's that thing, isn't he? Where he doesn't. Wins and losses don't massively matter for Randy.
Yeah, I just feel like there's a stage that wrestlers get to though, where it's like, oh, they don't need to win, and then they never win. It's like Mick Foley, after he retired, whenever he'd come back, I think he only won once, and it's like, you should have stayed retired. It's just damaging your legacy. Or Sergeant Slaughter, whenever he'd be like, Sergeant Slaughter's getting in the ring, he'd always lose. It's like, what's the point?
Oh yeah, but that was Sergeant Slaughter. That wasn't exactly
former world champion. I'd say, you know, they if especially because he was Commissioner Slaughter, it should always be that like, I'm going on the boots one more time. You know, and stuff like this. I can't do it regularly, but when I do...
Yeah. Let's go on a slight tangent here. You mentioned Slaughter, just because I saw it. I can't remember if it was this week or last week that I read this, but some interview he did recently. You know that there's been like clips of Hulk Hogan, you know, claiming he discovered The Undertaker and
hey, people.
Hello.
Hey, goody. And this whole thing of like Hogan like found everybody, you know, that sort of thing. Well, Slaughter apparently had this interview the other week where he claims that the title match he had when he won the title against Ultimate Warrior at Royal Rumble. So apparently he claims that meant that match was supposed to go another 10 to 15 minutes. And that when Randy Savage knocked Warrior out with the scepter, that he legitimately got knocked out. And he was and he elbowed him before the cover to try and wake him up. To carry the match on, and they just had to get. Apparently, they had to end the match there or something. What's a load of crap? I have watched that match plenty of times, and that was definitely the finish.
Yeah, like that's like I haven't seen it recently enough to think about it, but I'd be flabbergasted.
Yeah, but there's no way they were booked for more than the 10 minutes they were out there. Imagine them going 20 minutes, Slaughter and Warrior. I mean,
Oh, right, yeah. I don't even know what you're on about with that. Even just hearing that alone.
it's very good. The Slaughter claimed that his match with Warrior was ended early because the Warrior was legitimately knocked out by Randy Savage. Okay.
Crazy stuff. Now, KD, we have literally just come off SmackDown, which actually was on at a reasonable time for the UK watching public. Did you see it?
No, I didn't know about it until you mentioned it, and it was already like 20 to 8, I think, by then.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Yeah,
I didn't want to start watching it then. But I don't mind it being spoiled, though, just so you know.
Well,
I'm sure not a lot's going to happen.
Yes.
But it'll be more entertaining to see it, those kind of shows,
Yeah, there wasn't a lot happened. It kind of felt like a glorified house show, basically. But obviously it was still SmackDown. But it felt a bit light in terms of who was on it, and it felt like a lot of pandering to the crowd. So it was like, obviously France don't get WWE like TV shows, like gosh knows if and when they've ever had like live from France before for a TV taping. But it was an okay show. It was fun. The most interesting things was that the revelation that Roman Reigns hasn't spoken to Paul Heyman since WrestleMania, and also LA Knight said that he's going to enter the King of the Ring, and so I don't know how long it is until King of the Ring, but I think LA Knight is someone that could potentially win it, and him sort of make that enhance his gimmick some way.
This month, isn't it? It's the next Saudi show.
Yeah, but like, when is that?
Saudi show, yeah.
I'll see if I can find out. But okay, so next one is King and Queen of the Ring, and that is going to be.
Because mine are phasing out, so if I don't reply to something, that's why.
Yeah, so it's going to be May 25th. So we're literally getting 2 premium live events this month, and yeah. So how about that? Now, obviously, it's just because the weird thing is that what was the last pay-per-view? Was it WrestleMania?
Yeah,
it was.
How could possibly forget?
Yeah.
How long ago?
But like the weird thing is, I think that they don't have another US-based pay-per-view until SummerSlam, and obviously this has never happened before. Yeah, so many well, not just European, but like international, because obviously if they're going to be in Saudi Arabia for King and Queen of the Ring, there's going to be Clash at the Castle. Is that June?
You think so? Have you got your tickets yet for that really affordable show?
No, it's insanely expensive. I looked to get tickets, but I couldn't believe. Now, obviously, the same as what they're doing with France. They're doing SmackDown, and then the next day is the pay-per-view. Fine. But the only way you could get tickets, as soon as I saw that you get tickets, and it would be that you get SmackDown and Clash at the Castle as a combo, I'm like, well, that's not only that you have to spend £350 minimum for 2 shows tickets, but you've got to have like hotels and the travel. I was like, this is too expensive. So
I'm waiting to find out if I get to go to like All In with the radio station I do. And I know even if I do get to, if I get a free ticket to the show, it's still going to be so expensive to stay there and that.
Yeah.
That's always the worry, isn't it? And if it's like WWE, like especially like a WrestleMania, for example, I hope not, but you kind of feel like the hotels in the area are probably going to up their prices a bit as well. So it's always a worry for someone like me when I'm thinking about going.
Well, this was the thing. Like when All In last year was happening, they announced that All In this year would happen, and like the hotels were booked out by the end of the night for like a year in advance.
Oh, so, really? Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So.
Do we know anything about the how many tickets have been sold yet for that?
For All In, I heard it that it passed 40,000. So
yeah, it's not as many at the moment as last year.
But they've still got months. They literally do have a few months. So if they've got 40,000 people in there, then the show is a success. Because obviously the big thing with AEW recently has been that they're struggling. Like even at Daly's place, apparently there was people showing that they'd got seat fillers and stuff, and that's basically their home ground. And I don't know. I don't understand how this has happened. Like, for all of what people say about, AEW has, kind of lost its way and stuff like this, and it has its ups and downs. I think, like, we can speak about the pay-per-view if you saw that was that last Sunday? Everything, This year is flying by. Yeah. Yeah.
Wrestling never stopped, man.
But like for me, the mistake AEW has made is they introduced more than one weekly show, and they're just it's lost its feeling of being special. It's now like, oh, I missed this show, and then you get okay with missing the show, and also they're just spreading their potential audience thin for buying tickets.
Yeah.
If they're getting if they were getting just around 1 million viewers weekly for their TV show, and WWE was getting 2, or in the past maybe getting 3 or 4, that's a huge amount extra people that you can get to want to turn up to your arena each week. Whereas if you've only got that 1 million and they're spread across the whole of the United States, it's really asking a lot for them perhaps to go to 2 tapings a week, you know. So I think that's their biggest problem.
It's going to be a lot harder to get the casual people into, but I've heard a lot of them talk about like killing the towns, like when they go to like Chicago too much, or Florida, they probably did that, you know, while they were stuck there anyway.
Yeah.
That one I can understand a little bit more. But I think that's a big problem too, and the weekly shows are getting a bad name now because of the story that's involved in them. And I still think the story is what gets people in the seats for the weekly shows, but the pay-per-views are like their big plus, aren't they? Because as much as like I watch AEW, I've watched it the whole time, and I still have the same issue with it that I did at the beginning. To me, it's very similar still, that there's not enough story, or just I'm more WWE story. That's more my leaning. But I still very much enjoy AEW, especially the pay-per-views. Like that's their strong, the strong side of them, I think. And that's why I think like All In, for example, it'll do well still. It's not going to sell out like it did last time. That was really, they did too good.
I'll tell you what, it might, and the reason I say that is like WWE are in France right now, and the ticket prices for Clash at the Castle are so high that they've said, oh, the ticket sales are perhaps a bit disappointing for that. I don't think AEW tickets are as insane by a long shot, but they're not going. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to France. They're not going to Germany. And so literally, if you want to see AEW and you live in the whole of Europe, this is it. This is it for the year.
Yeah.
You know, and in one sense, it's the complete opposite of what's happening in the States, where I said they're spreading themselves too thin. You know, in one sense, AEW could have done a show in Germany, done a show in France, done a show somewhere else, and then like had several shows that all do well, but they're basically consolidated all of Europe's AEW fans into that one arena. And if you want to see it, then it wouldn't surprise me if it went at least 60,000 again, because if they've got the rest of May, June, July, and then basically all of August, I think a lot of people. Sorry.
Was it 80 something last year, or was it like, how much did you say was last year then?
The audience.
There was about 3 different reports, wasn't there?
Yeah.
There was like and there was what AEW said, and there was what something else said.
Yeah, I was trying to compare it to what you said they
80,000,
sold now.
yeah.
I think the official one was something like, okay, let's bring it up. All in London. I think it was like 71,000 or something.
What did Ospreay put tattoo on his arm?
Yeah, exactly.
That one was wrong, I know that.
All in London. Okay, 2023.
I've had a look for the ticket prices as well. You can get some cheap tickets from about £25.
Oh yeah, they're the ones I had last year, which was like right up in the gods. It was a lovely view, everything like that. But when the next section down is up to 3 figures, come on, that's also a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the official,
I used to go to Progress Wrestling in Camden right regularly. I was a regular go there, and as the years went on, the prices steadily went up. I've just seen some in the fan group saying that their prices are now for them. Front row is £50, and they have like second, third, fourth, fifth row, and sometimes up to 7th, wherever they happen to be. All of those now are just over £40. And I'm like, what? They used to like stagger it, like so the second and third row was a certain price, and the rest of it would be a certain cheaper price. But now all of them, apart from the front row, is now £40-something. I'm like, what's going on?
jeez.
You know what?
So I realise it's like a cost of living thing and like hiring price things and things like that. But
Everything's going up. Yeah, like the people trying to buy the tickets, they got less money, and then the people selling it have got less as well, so they have to sell it for more. You know, it's just a knock on, ain't it?
at least they didn't book that arena in Manchester, right?
The front row tickets on AEW, 1,500 to go for All In, and then I would never want to pay that though, just to have the very likely chance that someone's going to kick me in the head because they go flying out.
Wow,
That's
yeah.
great. That's great fun to avoid. That's what I miss from progress. Run diving out the way of the falling wrestler.
Like, it's just a different world, because you think those clips that you'd see from ECW where Bam Bam Bigelow would have Spike Dudley up and just launch, or Bubba Ray Dudley would have Spike and just launch him into the first 3 rows, and then they'd all go wild for it. You know, it's just like, it's a different world. Whereas,
It's like going to a gig, isn't it?
yes.
Like music, I mean. Probably.
Yeah, certainly. Okay, so guys,
That's what I'm saying. It's just a good thing, like neither WWE or AEW booked that in the arena in Manchester, the one that's like constantly like stopping their gigs opening. What's it called? The arena that's having all the technical problems and.
in Manchester, I don't know.
Yeah, you watch the news, guys. Come on, this is the
I try not to.
Co-op Live, you know, they go open with Peter Kay, and then they said, oh, they couldn't do that. And then yesterday it was going to be Olivia Rodrigo's concert got cancelled. And someone was going to like open the other night, and they got cancelled about 10 minutes before they were due to open. The Co-op Live arena, big news.
Wow.
So that's a lot of money going out here, man. Like, well, you think that normally when something happens in a theatre like that or an arena, they get it sorted quickly because there's so much money involved in that. But
the latest one was that the air conditioning unit fell out or something. It was
Jesus.
Okay, so guys, we have got Backlash tomorrow. We can look back at some of the shows from the last week. We can talk about the AEW pay-per-view and Dynamite for those who have seen it. Raw, obviously, SmackDown has just concluded. But let's give some predictions of what we think is going to happen at Backlash France. 5 matches are announced for this show once again. It's insane. Like, one, it feels like they just don't send that money out on the international shows.
Yeah.
And also, matches, I just guess, are getting a bit more attention, being a bit longer, because they've still got to fill like a 3-hour show for this. And so, we've got Orton and Owens, Team RKO, versus the Bloodline, Solo Sikoa and Tama Tonga. I think that I'm still going to predict that we'll see Jacob Fatu debut here, because I think I said this just before you joined, KD. I think that we need to see a reason why KO and Orton can just lose, and it can't come from Heyman. It can't be that Heyman interferes, or not that he does particularly anyway, but it can't be some sort of chicanery. There we go. In that sense, yeah. Shenanigans, chicanery, whatever. In that sense, so I think the Bloodline is going to expand. Or if it doesn't expand this month, it'll expand next month, because they might want to give Tama Tonga a win just so that we establish him a bit more, and then we'll introduce someone else. But it wouldn't surprise me if they just make it a bit bigger now, because obviously it's just a tag team. It's a two-hander at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. I think it makes sense. I think they need to do it as well. It was a good time to do it, and they did it last time, didn't they, with Clash of the Castle, when you had a...
Yeah.
No, Solo Sikoa. That's where he debuted, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's when Solo debuted on the main roster.
I'd be interested to know if Jacob Fatu did debut immediately went to main roster, because when's the last time that happened, that someone debuted and immediately went to main roster? That was of a certain level. I know Tama Tonga has the same thing, but you know, he had a background from New Japan and a notoriety from that. But you know, but Jacob Fatu, he doesn't have that same thing. He's MLW. And that's not that the casual fan's not going to know that.
Yeah, I think
he does going straight to main roster rather than going through NXT like Solo did.
How long was Solo in NXT though? Not very long.
About a year or so.
Was it even that long?
I mean, they could definitely do it though, because if you imagine him being there, he's probably not gonna. If they just keep him out of having matches and just have him standing around and beating people up every now and then they can still kind of teach him the NXT WWE way in the background, kind of, I guess.
Oh, yeah, they absolutely can do it. It's just
whether they will.
I mean, what the statistic is of that, of having someone brand new to directly debut in the main roster.
Yeah, I suppose I mean, I guess the fact that they've done it with Tama Tonga is a good sign, hopefully, because I think it would make a lot more sense for him to come straight in. Definitely. I don't know much about him myself, though.
I'll be interested to see what Tamatonga's finisher is, because I'm assuming he's going to get the win and get the pin in some way. And just because, only because the last couple of years he's had the gun stunt, which is the RKO, which he took from Carl Anderson, who had the RKO, that move as well. Basically, if you ever see Carl Anderson like 2011, 2012, 2013, he couldn't have wanted to be Randy Orton more. he was doing all the mannerisms, all the things.
Wow.
The RKO. It was really weird, but yeah, interesting to see what he's
Do you know, okay, so, like, Jacob Fatu he's 32. I actually expected him to be slightly older than that, because he's been in MLW for 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's been around, so they're not going to put him through NXT. Like, NXT, like, guys, have you been enjoying the draft the last couple of weeks on WWE?
I don't mind it, you know. I don't mind it at all.
Oh, it's just like, it's pointless segments, though. It's just like, and here comes Stephanie McMahon. And what's she going to say? The first draft pick is like, who cares? You know, this is just there's just announcing names instead of actually having them have matches.
I think they could, I'm not going to lie, I think they could tweak it and make it a lot better very easily. Like, just have it so that you're only announcing people that you're taking from other shows.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep your people, you know, you don't have to do any of that.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Better.
Yeah. You know.
But we get to see the Dudley Boys twice in 1 week, and that's cool. They're together.
Yeah.
JBL as well with Ron Simmons, and a Jam when it made sense as well. Come on. What are we complaining about here?
Yeah, like it's a good opportunity. And we got, you know, we had Teddy Long, and you know, you can have these random people there just to like make it out. But I never get it. Would show like the Raw room, and it would show the SmackDown room. They're making notes and looking at their like computer displays. It's like, and then just Teddy Long's just like this in the background. It's like, what's going on? What is going on here?
If you look back at any of them, they go onto it and just look at, like, pick out a person and just watch what they're doing throughout all of it. The one woman I was watching, she was like writing on a pad, and she was writing absolutely nothing, and then she was typing something. It was just so, they were just all doing nothing.
Yeah.
Great. Bring back the robot.
Gosh. Okay, so who are we picking for?
You guys can hear me, okay?
I can hear you now, Dave. You were glitching a minute ago.
I lost you both a couple of times during that last bit, so I wasn't saying anything, so I don't actually hear anything.
Okay, so Dave, let's just ask you then. Orton and Kevin Owens versus Bloodline. Who's taking the win?
Thunder and Serena.
Yeah. KD, do you agree?
Yeah, Bloodline 2.0.
Bloodline have got to win. Otherwise, they're just not going to... It will establish them as a watered-down Bloodline. Then we've got the Kabuki Warriors versus Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Tag team champions. So, I don't know.
This is a match that will have a title change just so they can say there was a title change in this PLE in France.
Do you know what? That's a heck of a good point. I think it's a mistake, though. I don't think Jade should be winning a tag team championship. That's
they can lose it back to them like next week.
Well, exactly, and then just
actually. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah, go for it.
Carry on with Dave's point from earlier. That kind of goes with Jacob Fatu, the last person that came up, you know, with out going into NXT first. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and that
Jade
kind of maybe works as well, because she can then carry on to learn and figure out the WWE way with Bianca Belair next to her, you know, like. Great teacher to have, you know, someone to show you the ropes. I think, personally, I'm sorry, I'm just really into Jade. I have been since AW. So one thing AW did right was bring her in. She's great.
Yeah. She's someone that, look, and putting her in a tag team will certainly mean that they can sort of protect any weaknesses that she's got in her repertoire. And being in a tag team with Bianca, she's going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, it just feels like perhaps they deem that they need to do this to get her ready to split off from someone, but I feel like some of that individual mystique of hers is going to vanish before they before they put it is literally, if she had the Goldberg push in AEW, it's going to end up like Goldberg in WWE, where it's like, well, they don't use her like she was used before, that was really successful, and it will kind of weaken her. We've lost Dave there for a moment, but it'll kind of weaken her presentation so that she can't just seem like that all dominant figure.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, but I think one issue with that is as well, which is different for Goldberg, not for WCW, but WWE anyway, is that he was older, or well, more specifically, Jade's a lot younger, and it feels like she's going to be around for a while.
Yeah. No, I mean Goldberg's original WWE run, like a year and a half after WCW folded, they brought him in. Suddenly he was doing like 10, 15-minute matches, you know, with The Rock and with Jericho and all that. And that wasn't Goldberg's presentation. And he kind of had like a miserable year of it because they didn't know how to just use him as had been successful. And because Jade would just squash so many people, now it's going to take away the aspect of, I thought this woman could, you know, just hammer everyone, you know.
Yeah.
But she'll end up a better wrestler out of it, I guess.
Yeah, she's going to be there for a while. Because I think the one issue with when you have somebody be a dominant Goldberg-esque character, you know, that dominant person, if it's right at the beginning of their run, when they first come in, then they'll be dominant for a bit, but they're always going to get to that point eventually where it's like, okay, they don't feel special now because now they started losing, or they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got negatives both ways, I guess, ain't you?
Yeah. Okay, but no, I think, Dave, if you can hear us yet.
Yes.
All right. I think the logic of the tag team championship changing hands in France seems about right, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it just seems to be there for taking. As I say, I think they, like I said, they make it easy. Just drop them back like next week, next month, or what have you. But again, it could just be just a sustained push for Jade and Bianca.
Yeah.
I know that's the whole thing about steamrolling through people. You can literally just have Bianca take like the heat for absolutely ages and have Jade come in and just batter him like she did at WrestleMania. Because that's what she did.
Yeah.
Which was that to the end to batter them all.
Yeah.
I reckon we'll get less than a minute of Jade wrestling probably in this.
I think. I don't know. I think we'll get more. She'll get like the hot tag. She'll do some stuff. You know. Yeah. Tiffany Stratton, Naomi, and Bayley. Triple threat for the WWE Women's Championship. Bayley can't lose it this soon.
Unfortunately, no, she can't. I wish Tiffany Stratton could win it, but no, Bayley should hold on to it. She's been an afterthought, ain't she, though?
She's what?
Been an afterthought a bit, though, hasn't she? Even when she won the Rumble, when they were coming up to a match at Mania, she felt like an afterthought constantly.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Well, it's just the unfortunate thing, like the entire Damage Control storyline has felt like the B-side, and like the interest, and with Rhea being so prominent over the last year, unless Bayley was going after Rhea at Mania, then Bayley would have seemed like the lesser champion, just as Cody and Roman was always going to be the main event, and anything going on with McIntyre or Punk and Seth, you know, Seth's belt was, you know, unfortunately the World Heavyweight Championship or the World Championship does feel a bit more like the secondary belt, you know. On both the men and women. On the men's roster, on the women's roster, it's kind of the opposite, and it's just because of how dominant the other champions have been.
And there wasn't the like big lineage either with the other one, I suppose, is there, with the women's world title. That's kind of like, I don't know which was the original one at this point. So,
which was the original what?
I think you know, like how
the lineage.
WWE, the WWE Union's undisputed title is essentially carried on from the WWE title, so you know which one's got the lineage there, but then with the women's, I don't know which is which.
This is one of the things I've hated over the years. I think they've just completely spoiled some of the prestige by when you look at some of the title histories, and especially when it comes to like tag team titles, it's like, the current tag team titles may not even, they might count as a brand new title. even though they've got the same design as what like Demolition held. And it's like, when I understand, we're not going to be kindly looking on WCW, but when they brought in the World Heavyweight Championship and Triple H had got it, and it was the big gold belt, but it wasn't a continuation of the WCW title for no good reason. And then when they brought in the Universal title, that didn't continue on from the World Heavyweight title. It's just craziness. And then this new one that Damian Priest currently holds, even though Roman still had the Universal and WWE World title, the one that Seth won didn't continue from the World Heavyweight Championship, even though it got the same name. It's just, it's just that they make everything seem unimportant themselves.
I mean, I don't mind it personally. Like, a title's just a title to me. The title doesn't matter unless the person makes it matter to me. So I don't mind. Kind of thing I try not to worry too much about. I suppose but they're also thinking about the next generation of fans, and hopefully Triple H now might keep these as they are. I have more faith in Triple H. So
I do think this was something of a new beginning, and these titles are gonna be the titles now. That they've clearly designed. They've got like the design of the kind of World Heavyweight title, looking tag team titles and women's title, and then there's the Rock, Roman, John Cena era WWE championships, which will continue on that look, and they don't need to change up the looks. The only thing that is a shame though is because they're clearly trying to keep that distinction. That means that Cody didn't bring back the eagle one, the winged eagle.
Surprised me, he hasn't had a custom title done.
They want to keep everything sort of as is, don't they, with the title belts now? They don't do the custom stuff now. That there has been and gone, thank God. With Cena and Edge and all those others and their own custom belts.
I love the spinner belt. I hated the Undisputed Championship design. When that spinner came, I couldn't stand it. It looked so ugly to me. It was a weird shape. Like the wings on the eagle were going the wrong direction. Everything about that was bad to me. But okay. So
this is better than the Fiend's face on being on the Fiend title.
We don't talk about that.
I mean, it was almost a good.
Anyone wants to talk about anymore is Bray Wyatt, isn't it? Everyone's going to talk about Uncle Howdy.
Is he still coming back? It's been a couple of weeks since I saw about the QR codes or anything.
There was
one this week.
Oh, there was.
Things like that. Well, that's the thing. The people are now sort of trying to put together who the Wyatt Six might be now, and I think there's news today that Eric Rowan's going to resign.
Yes, I did hear that.
So
Eric Rowan.
I've just read something a moment ago that I said quite near.
Obviously, Braun was drafted.
Yep.
But I got here. I don't know what these letters mean. It might have something to do with the documentary, which I still haven't read yet. But said that there's things saying that the Wyatt Six could be. So it says here, U. There's letters or something. U equals Uncle Howdy. E equals Eric Rowan. D equals Dexter Loomis. N equals Nikki Cross. J equals Joe Gacy. 5 plus 1 equals 6. The Wyatt Six, and A equals Alexa Bliss.
Wait, so no Braun?
This is a theory I'm just reading out online here.
It would be a shame if Braun went back, to be fair, because he'd moved away from it so much. But that sounds like a good group to me, though.
But that's why I think Braun should be part of it, because obviously, for the Wyatt family, there were 4 people. 2 of them, passed away. I think if you're going to try to make Uncle Howdy somehow the leader, if you'd got Braun almost like the co-leader, I think he legitimizes it. Even though they did the stupid train noises, he is a former world champion. So if you'd got Uncle Howdy, and because look, Uncle Howdy was never gonna. If Bray hadn't passed away, Uncle Howdy would have been his sidekick. He wasn't the leader.
Yeah.
And so trying to put all of the pressure on him. If you'd got Uncle Howdy, but then Braun also kind of like co-leader with Eric there, with Alexa there, and if you're putting in Dexter Loomis or whoever, then great. But you could have like made it. I almost feel like this should be something of a. They should have the view that this is something of a tribute run, both, you know, not just for Bray but also for Brody, right? They should do that. They should lean into that, not just make them out and out heels. And if it starts to work, then they can lean into, okay, we're going to keep it going, and they can become more of a heel group or whatever. But I think the direction they should take with them is that it's all of the Bray Wyatt weirdness, but they go after people who are heels, because I think playing against we're going to do something where people want to sing "We Got the Whole World in Its Hand" in tribute to Bray Wyatt, but also make them heels. I think it's going to end up running flat.
Yeah,
Do the tribute one, and if it continues, if it resonates, then go on into the next chapter. Then
if they do it well, people are going to want to cheer it either way, aren't they? Because they're going to beat if they Bray Wyatt tribute either way. You couldn't not really.
Yeah.
Which I think is, with what you said about Uncle Howdy, I think I'd agree with that if it wasn't for the fact that Uncle Howdy, we all know, is played by Bo Dallas, his brother. And I think that reason alone would make it so that people would accept Uncle Howdy as the leader now. If they didn't, like the casual fan, maybe not.
I mean, but this is just it. Like, one of the funny things is that if you remember when the Wyatt family debuted, they were chanting Husky Harris at Bray, and you know, people are still going to know that this is Bo Dallas, and was he the B squad, the B team? You know, that they Bo Leave. They did so much to butcher his chances, because
was he in the social outcasts as well?
I mean, generally in life, maybe, but
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so then we come to. In fact, I don't know if we did pick winners for Bailey, Naomi, Tiffany Stratton. I think Bailey has to
How we
keep.
got there?
Yeah. No idea how we got.
Bailey.
Yeah. Okay, Damian Priest, Jey Uso. Jay can't win at this stage.
Nah.
Damian needs to keep it.
Yeah, it's got to be bisexual Undertaker for the win, hasn't it?
Yeah. Bisexual Undertaker. I didn't even understand that.
They call him.
Yeah, I didn't get that. I didn't get that. It was the thing.
He was, to be fair, for a while wearing like something that looked like he was designed to have cleavage in it. He was wearing it for a long time. Did you see that? Like a weird kind of heart.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. That completely passed me by. But
I'll find it.
But yeah, I think it was like Rhea Ripley shared.
Safe search, for God's sake.
Yeah, safe search. Okay. Bisexual Undertaker, what we come up with.
Oh, no.
But no, I think Priest has to keep it, and it will just be interesting with Jay being there and also the Bloodline being there. I think probably we'll see some sort of backstage segment where I think we'll see Paul Heyman and Jey Uso have some interaction where Heyman will seem panicked, and it's going to just tease the idea that maybe if they go all out with the Bloodline being Solo, Tama Tonga, Jacob Fatu, and then maybe anyone else, because I know there's a couple of other relatives or cousins, or probably The Rock coming back, that later on we'll have Paul Heyman with Roman, with Jey Uso, probably Jimmy Uso, maybe even Sami Zayn. Imagine getting that band back together. And then you'll have the Bloodline versus the Bloodline.
Yeah, I've heard people talk about it for War Games as well, hasn't it?
War Games, yeah, Bloodline versus Bloodline.
Although I can't see Rock being in a War Game.
Absolutely, that's why.
Yeah.
Although if he went in last,
True.
yeah, that actually, I think that could happen. Where Rock goes in last, something happens, and then you've already got. Well, although then that would set up Rock versus Roman for Mania, whereas obviously it has to be Rock versus Cody as things currently stand.
I'm going to say now, I don't think he will be in that one, because if he has to stay in that big glass, those domes things, those cages at the entrance ramp and things like that, he's just going to be standing there pissing into bottles and things.
Jesus, what was all this? Like, why does The Rock need to piss in bottles on film sets?
How far away There's this trailer from the set.
Well, it takes him a long time to get there, apparently. He's so late all the time, so maybe it's like a good 5-hour walk.
Like, is this literally that Vin Diesel is doing like the face turn where it turns out that Rock was the problem one the whole time?
I could see it. I mean, he's suddenly kind of like outed himself as the problem during WrestleMania. Let's be fair, he actually bought into the company and thought he needed to save WrestleMania. I think that was all shoot, to be honest. I think he really felt like that. I want to see this documentary that still hasn't come out as well. Supposed to come out the Wednesday after Mania. Still hasn't come out.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Shit. Yeah. Oh, I wonder what put the kibosh on that.
Interesting, isn't it? I want to see it.
Yeah.
They're doing this documentary now, of like the 4-part documentary on like the WCW again, coming out. The Rock's like involved, like the producer behind something like that. And I see one of the bloody talking heads. It's like, you weren't there. Honestly, how would you know what fucking WCW?
Well, fairness to him, he was fighting against them. He was.
I know, he wasn't there. He wasn't on that side of things. So.
Maybe he believes that he was what killed WCW, him being in WWE.
Yeah. It's a weird choice for a documentary, actually, just because obviously, especially with Rock's, they're not going to want to touch on the Vince angle. How many more angles could there possibly be?
Just done.
Yeah. Okay. So, these are the worst prediction show we've ever done. Like, as soon as we mention what the match is, we segue so hard away from it.
How utterly boring this card is.
Yeah.
Talking about anything except the matches.
Yeah, we literally are. It's so funny. It's so.
Damien's retaining. Jaden might win, they might not. Who gives a shit?
Somehow, from Tiffany Stratton, we were completely in the Wyatt family, and from Damien Priest versus Jey Uso, we're talking about the death of WCW.
By the way, I'm well aware that I'm wearing a slightly pink shirt. That doesn't mean I think I'm Tiffany Stratton. Okay, I'm just going to say that out.
Who was that that kicked up that fuss?
On Twitter or X, whatever it's going, that Mariah May shouldn't wear pink on AEW because that's Tiffany Stratton.
What the hell? I love it. She's cosplaying as another wrestler. She's cosplaying as another wrestler in full get-up and full gear. Got the music and everything. And they think she's trying to rip off Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, and as far as pink goes, I think Barbie got there first.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
Kelly, so many women wrestlers, you know. But anyway, okay, so Damien Priest, I think, has to retain. And that brings us then to Cody versus AJ. And again, Cody has to retain. You know, my one hope somewhere in the back of my mind, I wanted Cody to finish his story. He's finished it. He's been a world champion. For me, sometimes I think it's a real shame if someone I think should have been a world champion never was. Cody's done it now. Imagine if Cody gets injured. They have to call an audible. AJ walks out with the title.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time he's won the title in this company.
Wouldn't be the what?
Wouldn't be the first time he's won the WWE title in this company.
Oh yeah, true. Because he won it. The only time it's changed hands in the UK was AJ, wasn't it? Yeah.
Was that the WWE title? Was it the US title?
WWE. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They did Jinder.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Jinder.
When they had to kind of like last minute do it before Survivor Series or something.
Yeah.
Because they realised they weren't going to sell any pay-per-views on Jinder Mahal versus Brock Lesnar.
No, and they were right, let's be fair. And they got a great match out of it though. AJ versus Brock was great. And we've done it again. We've on a tangent again.
You're right.
This is the thing. This is such a cut and dried, obvious retention for Cody. A good match.
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Probably not even watch the show, to be honest.
Oh no! Like, what time's it going to be on? This is going to be on early.
Yeah.
This is the thing where you know.
Same time as SmackDown, surely.
Yeah, for all of the controversy about the Saudi shows, I get to watch WWE at a reasonable time, and so you know I don't mind them doing some European shows as well, pay-per-views, and just being.
Yeah, sorry. And that in Saudi they've actually done what they said they were going to do too, in the sense of there's been progression, like women's been wrestling more, there's been a lot more spotlight on them, they're doing that, it's like based around King and Queen of the Ring this year. It's
Well,
actually,
what did they call the Queen of the Ring last time? It was like
King of the Ring.
No, surely it was something stupid before. It was the King of the Ring.
Zelina, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was like the Queen's Crown tournament or some. They didn't just call it Queen of the Ring.
Yeah.
What did they call this thing?
Crown. I think it was Queen's Crown. I think you're right.
I forgot about it the year after and the year after that. So
Maybe it is Queen of the Ring, or what was last
Zelina
time.
won it and then they forgot about it a few months later.
Well, it was like Xavier won it and they forgot about him.
Yeah. I think he might have even been injured. I wouldn't be surprised if they say that he got injured by Gunther, so he won't be in the tournament. They seem to be putting the big names for the King of the Ring, don't they, this year?
Well, I know that LA Knight just said he's going to be in it. Gunther shouldn't be King of the Ring.
Oh, I think that works myself.
Oh my gosh, he doesn't need it.
You don't need a gimmick. We need to get away from the idea that whoever wins has to be a gimmick king, though.
But like
that's taken away.
The thing which is such a shame about the King of the Ring is the first year they figured it out correctly was the last year they did it for so long. Brock Lesnar won the King of the Ring. It gives you a world title match at SummerSlam. It's the same logic as the Royal Rumble and Mania, and then they abandoned it immediately after that.
Well, you know that Gunther will not abandon that if he did win. He'd be like, well, that's basically the number one contender then.
Yeah. But okay, so what are they doing with Imperium now, guys?
Well, I was about to say I had a heartbreaking moment. Imperium's one of my favourite factions, and
really,
as soon as Ludwig Kaiser just attacked Giovanni Vinci, I had suddenly the strains of "Tell Me a Lie" suddenly sounded in my head, and I was slightly heartbroken. But yeah, so it's just back to Gunther and Kaiser.
Do they have any plans for Vinci? Because I feel like he's got. What can they do with him now? He had the least personality.
Yeah, but he was perfect fit for that group.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
Apparently in NXT, I heard before it, he was doing some, because he didn't get called up originally, did he, with Ludwig and Gunther. Apparently in NXT in that time, he was doing some most beautiful man in the world gimmick or something in NXT.
Well, it wasn't called Giovanni Vinci until he started doing that character. He was Fabian Eichner before,
I've heard that name.
That's when Triple H took over or everything, like around about that time, wasn't it? And then Clash at the Castle, he was suddenly back in Imperium. It was like Triple H went, right, we're putting this back as a trio, because that way you can do this feud with Sheamus and Creed and all that stuff, and yeah, they sort of just abandoned those character things. So maybe he'll just go back to doing that again. I don't know, but
I wonder.
Yeah,
It's
a good talent, and I think it's a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
They're perfectly good tandem. I don't see the point of splitting them up.
No,
I think they're looking at it more now with maybe like if they don't add anyone else to it, maybe it's just going to be Gunther's lackey and his ring announcer. They might have. To be fair, I wouldn't have been surprised if they ended Imperium completely if it wasn't for the fact that Ludwig Kaiser is so good at announcing him.
Yeah.
It just works so well.
That's good as well. I mean, there's vignettes about him being like a beautiful wrestler and all that sort of stuff. So I thought they were starting to sell a push for him. So they could just do two solo acts, but it's a bit weird when people were just two people in. This is where it's going to be interesting where Ilya Dragunov ends up, because I'm quite interested in that, because there's a natural connection with all those guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to see him as part of Imperium.
Nah.
Down for him, but yeah, there's some sort of collision there that will happen at some point. And judging by the past battles, it's going to be a very, very bloody one.
I think that from over the last week or so from the wrestling, for me, that's been one of the things that's been most interesting is looking at the NXT call-ups, because I don't watch NXT every week. That's one that I don't. There's too much wrestling, man. You can't watch it all.
Yeah.
I choose that one. But I watch a little bit, trying to keep up a little bit to this. And I'm very interested in the people that are coming up. It just seemed really interesting seeing their reactions as well, like the women getting emotional and you got called up. That was just cool. You can't not be a wrestling fan and not find that kind of lovely when you see it.
No, I completely agree. That was what was good, because you knew that was real reactions. That was a good call for them to do that. Unlike when they did the draft years ago and suddenly drafted Jim Ross to SmackDown and saw his real reaction. In fact, if I remember correct, didn't they draft Michael Cole to Raw and instantly Jim Ross just stood up because he knew what this meant? Am I remembering
It was
that?
the other way around. It was Cole stood up.
Oh, was it? That they drafted Jim Ross and Cole stood up. Yeah, I think you're right. But okay, so guys, look, before we move on, because we won't go too much longer on this. Before we move on from Backlash tomorrow, any other predictions for non-announced matches or things that aren't related to specific matches?
I mean, who's over here? Who's on SmackDown that's like not on the cards?
Oh, everyone. There's hardly anyone on the card.
So was everyone that was on the card was on SmackDown?
LA Knight wrestled. He's not on the card. There was Carlito was on SmackDown, and some of the LWO or whatever, or the anti-LWO, whatever the evil version is called. I can't remember. Yeah.
That's the match. That's the match that they should have gone to for Backlash. Was like LWO, Legado, one final time, a big head-to-head with everyone, including the women. Just get in there, get all of them in there.
Or even Carlito versus Dragon Lee, because we already know that's part of it.
Well, that's what they kind of teased. I think it'd be a mistake to do it as an unannounced match on the show tomorrow now. Perhaps they just haven't given that enough time, and so that'll be for the next pay-per-view, because they've got another pay-per-view this month.
Yeah, but they're going now, because then the draft doesn't take effect until next week or something?
Yeah, that's right.
That's tonight is a big sort of tomorrow night is a sort of thing. Just I'd like to sort of see it as a big sort of multi sort of person. They could easily just switch Carlito over to Legado for the night and all that sort of stuff. Just have that sort of hash that out.
Okay, so what I was going to say is quickly before we begin to wrap things, so I appreciate the time and all this started later and all that. What any major thoughts from Dynasty and looking forward things on the AEW side? Do we know what the main event for Double or Nothing 2024 is planned to be?
Yes. Unfortunately, I think we do.
I can't. Yeah, well, it's Swerve and Christian, and
strange decision, that one.
It's a really strange decision. For Double or Nothing, AEW in the position where they have Double or Nothing and, well, now they have All In and All Out, so they kind of have their 3 WrestleMania equivalents. Which is their true WrestleMania, who knows? But Swerve versus Christian feels like a super weak match, I'm not going to lie. They didn't give Swerve the title when they should have. They completely ignored it as soon as he did win it. And now he's wrestling Christian, who's been in a feud with Edge for half a year, lost, and now is getting a world title shot.
Just ignoring Hangman, who, this whole time was like, I'm not going to let you get the title. It's like, well, you let him, and now you're just letting him keep it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Swerve versus Hangman, they've got months of story to go into it, and I know we've seen it. But now Swerve's got the title, that would have been a difference maker.
But do we think that's going to actually main event AEW for one side? They could main event it with Mercedes Moné and Willow Nightingale, which isn't a main event either to me, but it's better than that.
Man, talk about shitting on your new world champion, though, if you do that.
Yeah.
Mercedes Moné debut match gets to main event the pay-per-view. That would be the first time they've had a women's match main event a pay-per-view if they do it. Which, again, they could do that, but I don't know.
It could be Kenny versus Okada 5.
Is that happening? Because I thought the whole thing...
I don't get the impression that's happening.
Sorry?
I don't get the impression that's happening yet.
Yeah, because there was, on Dynamite there was a thing, but maybe this was just storyline where Kenny said in a couple of months. So I thought they sort of brought him in to follow up with the storyline, so just to establish that he's not with the Elite. Maybe he is returning imminently, but my impression was that this was just to do a follow up to Tony Khan getting Meltzer drivered.
They could do that at Wembley. Okada,
I feel like you got to do something with Ospreay, like in the main event.
For Wembley.
No, I'm just saying it's one of the matches they could do.
Okada versus.
In front of 80,000 potential people.
Yeah. No, I think that's an awesome match for All In, and it has to be Swerve dropping the title to Ospreay at All In.
But the only thing is though now, isn't Ospreay going for the Continental title?
Well, I said they're going to go after Roddy Strong, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a strange one to go with. Do you want to risk Swerve being the top face champion that he is, going against Ospreay and losing the title there? I did that a few months ago, but that was on the basis of Swerve being a hated heel, which he was. And now they've changed him face, and he's sort of lost all that sort of.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
What made him popular? You know what I mean? It's that weird little thing where they sort of go with changing the alignment of the character, and now they're making him a fighting champion. And I don't get the impression that Swerve originally would have been like that had he won the title.
I think they'll switch him back heel before this. They've got like 3 months solid, so, and also they'll pivot if it's not working. They'll need to.
Yeah.
Because it was like for All In last year, we had MJF as the beloved babyface, but no one could have predicted that until everything he was doing with Adam Cole just suddenly changed him.
On this angle or nothing, do you think that Roddy Strong just what's happened to that international title match? Because there's no way that Strong should be losing or winning against Ospreay.
Yeah.
So what happens there? Does Ospreay go into it in a double title match?
There's not even any kind of storyline reason that he could lose it either, really.
They'll find something. Like Will Ospreay, he could win the international championship. There is literally months where he could lose it in between, and he can't be with the Don Callis family going into All In. So they have to do something which, like the month before. I don't know if they have a pay-per-view the month before. Probably not, actually. Do they not have a pay-per-view between All In? Forbidden Door. Yeah, so that they'll have like Don Callis and Takeshita or someone like this cost him a match. He'll drop the title.
Forbidden Door now.
Yeah, well, yeah, the whole show is Forbidden Door just because they've got Ospreay there, they've got Okada there. Mercedes was in New Japan or whatever.
They're all signed though, to be fair, but you still see like MLW people coming over every week. You see like you still see New Japan people as well, don't you?
Well, quite possibly, but obviously there'll be more.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And the idea of the I think that like the thing about the name Forbidden Door is it doesn't really mean anything. 2 years later. Like,
it's going to be a big one this year, isn't it? It's going to include CMLL and Stardom as well.
Is that? Well, yeah. I guess we need to see if that's happening.
Oh, that was that one. Was talking about that's great.
Yeah.
You're good to have Stardom as well because they haven't had enough focus on. So, that's one thing I will say. Suddenly, like AEW, I feel like their women's division has suddenly started getting a lot better.
Yeah.
Both divisions as well, like. Just the first time I can remember that being the case. I love Willow, she's great.
Yeah.
I look forward to Mercedes finally getting in the ring because that means we don't have to go on the mic so fucking much.
Yeah. Well, again, at least she isn't playing her like ukulele or air guitar or whatever she was doing on promo in Japan.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Okay, let's very quickly before we begin to wrap this up. I'll look to see if there's any breaking news, of course. But any
have you? Sorry, I was going to say about Bloodline and all that. What about the actual father of the Bloodline? have you heard Rikishi's diss track of Hulk Hogan in tribute to the Iron Sheik?
No.
No.
I put it in the group chat.
Oh my god, I missed this.
It's brilliant. It's so to start losing them on music.
Yeah.
And the first track is like a sort of I can't remember, based on a Alpha Pop song that she really liked. It played with the Sultan. And basically, it's their song. It's about him being the Sultan to Iron Sheik, and it starts off with just the Sheik dissing Hulk Hogan at the start as a sample.
I'm going to check that out right after in that case.
Okay, so I was going to say, was there any reactions? Because if we are a solid, what is it, 2 weeks from Dynasty, was there any obviously we had Dream Match, Will Ospreay, Bryan Danielson, and all this, and obviously we didn't have a show after to react to it. We obviously everything with Tony Khan taking the Meltzer driver last week. Any reactions to these points, just because we haven't discussed them?
Well, I will make an unpopular opinion straight away. As far as I'm concerned, Bryan Danielson versus Ospreay was not the match of the year for me. I can tell you exactly what was the match of the year for me. Like a month before or something, Ospreay versus
Takeshita?
Takeshita, God, I forgot his name then, Jesus. I didn't go Jim Cornette at least.
Oh, yeah. Right, so what, you think that was a better match than with Daniel Bryan?
Personally, yeah, I don't know why, I just really enjoyed that. Like, Bryan Danielson is probably was my favourite wrestler, and I think Will Ospreay becoming my favourite wrestler. But for some reason, yeah, I don't know, I prefer that match.
I get it. I sort of went into it sort of expecting the ultimate match of all time, and it was like, well, not really turn up to that match. Yeah, still very good.
I thought it was what I expected it to be. You know, I think it's so hard when something's got this expectation of being the greatest match of all time that, you know, it's never going to live up to it. But I think they did as much with it, you know, as they could, as, you know, at this stage of whatever the build-up's been, because the build-up was we're having a dream match. You know,
well, I think that Sammy and Diamond on Edge and Randy Orton there, David. I mean,
you know, that was
the greatest wrestling match ever. Right?
It was so dumb, just because to me they're both two above-average wrestlers that would never be in my conversation of the best wrestler ever. They then did a match that went forever, like 40 minutes, in front of no one, and it wasn't the worst thing in the world. You know, that's
good.
Yeah. You know, so it exceeded my expectations for who it was and the circumstances. And Edge had just literally come back, you know. But anyway, so I don't know if there's any other breaking news.
There is.
Go on, tell me things.
Okay, so there've been a bunch of NXT cuts been announced. So a couple from the Next Gen series, Emma Maria Diaz and Keyshawn LaFleur have been released. And this is much advice from the NXT. Ezekiel Balogun, Julian Baldy, Daryl Mason, Vlad Pavlenko, Kia Saint, all people I've never seen before. Anthony Neferos and Trey Bearhill, who have been on NXT TV before. This is the big one, Drew Gulak.
Oh, what a surprise. Goddamn Ronda, goddamn Rousey, man. I do not believe any. She's been chatting so much crap lately, and now she's just decided to get somebody fired. Well, I'm concerned. Yeah, that's a big shame for him.
Yeah. Gosh. Okay. Here's another piece of breaking news. I didn't even know when this was supposed to happen, but apparently Ricochet became the first ever WWE Speed Champion.
Oh, I still leave it in the point. Oh wow, that's it.
When did that happen? Like, is that on Twitter only?
Taping earlier today, but yeah, that happened earlier today.
Oh wow, no, I'd completely missed that.
King of getting it done in 3 minutes.
Yeah. 3 minute matches.
What? It's such a dumb idea. Like, you don't need to. Like, I think we're on Twitter right now. Like, you don't have to have it as a 3-minute video. Why are they promoting 3-minute matches at the same time? You know, it feels like it would have been appropriate when Twitter was like in 2011. Oh, here's our 3-minute match. You've got a why do you have a Twitter pillow?
I haven't got a Twitter pillow.
You got an X pillow.
Yeah, get it, boys.
All right, yeah, actually, that isn't the official.
It's not got
I was going to say that it's a similar logo. Look at that, they're stealing Extreme Improv as well. Right. Okay, guys, we'll begin to wrap things up here. Let the people know where they can find you, and if you have any final passing thoughts or whatever on the world of wrestling. KD, where can the people find you?
You can check out my podcast and stuff on KD Comedy Official on YouTube for video versions, or KD Comedy Podcast, wherever you get podcasts from. Got the new Twitch channel, KD Comedian Live. So drop a follow if you like Twitch and stuff. But I need to go on it more, so there'll be a schedule soon on it. But other than that, you can get me every Tuesday from 10 AM to 12 PM on Switch Radio, on internet, or on 107.5 FM. I think that's all.
Awesome. Dave?
For personal stuff and wrestling stuff, it's the Carino on X. What's the X was? And everyone else, it's David Anthony Green for acting stuff. For comedy stuff, improv comedy stuff, LAPD Improv Police on Instagram and Facebook. We are doing some shows very, very soon. One next week on 10th of May in Westcliff at the Moonraker Club for part of Bear Sheet Comedy. And the week after that in Caddies and South End, our own show, including Longhurst, Philip Gatley, and Ashley Edwards doing our full show there on the 17th, and you can get tickets for that on wegotickets.com.
Awesome. My name is David Postansky. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at David Postansky, spelled Pustansky. You can also get any of my books, including the Extreme Improv Big Book of Improv Games, available on Amazon worldwide as paperback or Kindle editions. For everything Slam Jam wrestling show related, just look up Slam Jam Wrestling or Slam Jam Show. You know, occasionally it has to be that name. Make sure you smash that subscribe button, both to the Extreme Improv YouTube channel as well as the Slam Jam Wrestling YouTube channel as well. I've got so much Slam Jam related content that I'm actually working on in the background that I'm finally going to be able to start to unleash, like, in the coming days. It's so imminent that I was literally working on it whilst watching SmackDown tonight. So, with that, until next time, stay safe. Keep slamming and jamming, you Slam Jam bronies. Always stay extremed, and ciao for now. Boom. And we are off the air.